Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back to the farmstead.
Yep.
We wanted to take a few minutes today and do another update video. We haven't done an update video for a couple of months and we are in full production now, so we just wanted to take a few minutes and show you what we have going on. So for those of you that are watching us for the first time, we are a 20-acre market farm up here in the beautiful Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We run about 100-foot market style beds, 30 inches with 18-inch paths. And we also do meat rabbits and meat chickens, and then we also do egg-laying chickens and egg-laying ducks.
Yeah.
And on the last update video, we didn't show you anything with the animals, so we thought we would start there just to give you a quick update. So earlier in the season, we had a bear incident with our layers.
Yeah.
So we had a bear get into our chicken trailer. And so we've been putting everything behind an electric fence, and we are running our meat birds along with our layers right now, just to keep everybody together and protected. And it's worked out fine. We haven't had any more incidences or losses.
No.
Every now and then a fox comes in and takes a chicken.
Yeah.
But I know when you run with no fences and on open ground like this, that can happen during the day sometimes. So we have about I would say close to 100 young birds out here. 50 of those are meant for meat, so any young roosters will be eaten later this year or butchered out, hopefully within the month. We just bought all the butcher equipment we need. So we bought a plucker and we bought a scalder, but we need to install the electrical for those. So we need a couple of 220s. So we're gonna be doing that maybe in a week or so. We got to get all the stuff ordered for that.
Yeah.
And then the rest of these are our layers and then the young layers. We stopped ordering all of our chickens through the mail. We're not doing that anymore.
No.
We bought an incubator last year, so we incubated everything that's on the farm here this year, and we're very excited. We love these young birds. The colors are incredible. We didn't lose pretty much anything. I would say we lost a couple because one of the bigger chicks got in and crushed a couple.
Yeah.
Couple of the younger ones, but we haven't had any problems. So we're very happy with that. You know, one issue is that we have to raise them out a little bit longer, but I would say we are not a push for production farm. We are we would rather let things come of natural time rather than, I don't know. We raised Cornish cross last year and it was absolutely did not like that.
No.
So we won't be doing that again. But anyway, this is our chicken setup. Then we have our meat rabbits behind us. Now we're out at our rabbit tractors and we run 3 of these. Each of these holds 4 either individual rabbits or groups of bunnies, moms with babies. It's not our ideal situation at this point. We want to do some larger cages for the moms with babies.
Yeah.
And also make a situation where everybody can be out on pasture as long as possible through the summer. In the summer, when the moms are giving birth, we bring them into the barn. But it just gets hot in there. I don't like having the rabbits in cages if we don't have to.
Yeah. And
so we need to create a better situation where they're out here on pasture and not having to be caged in the barn. So we're working on that. But right now they get to be out here once they're 5 weeks old and on.
Yeah.
So, and apparently Jose's just letting them run free now.
Goodbye.
So this is just a really nice batch of bunnies right here. They're very friendly. This is the second litter, and she gives birth to the nicest babies.
They're nice.
Yeah.
Are you happy bunnies? Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we haven't butchered any meat rabbits this year, but I think we're ready on one group. But we'll probably, because there's only a couple in that group, just wait until the next group. They'll be a little bit larger. And every now and then it's nice to have a big 4-pound roasting rabbit.
Yeah.
All right. Let's round up this baby.
Hi, buddy.
Are you confused, little baby?
What's going on, huh? Yeah. You don't know where your siblings are, huh? You want to go back and see you.
So this tractor behind us holds 4 of our buck rabbits. We have 6 on property right now. Too many. We don't need that many. We need to thin them down a little bit. One of the things I want to talk about is that we've been running now, this is our 3rd season running our animals on pasture, and We've been out here doing some mowing because we've been using the grass for mulch on the gardens, but I'll tell you what they say on all the videos, if you're running animals on your pasture, how it changes your pasture.
Yeah.
The grass is so thick where we run our rabbits and chickens that you almost can't mow it. Like I have to go very slowly.
Yeah.
Where we haven't had the rabbits and chickens, you know, I can race up and down and get it mowed quick. But where the animals have been, the grass is thick clumps of grass. And it's amazing to see the transformation and what having some animals out on grass does.
Yeah.
So this is the new garden area we set up this year. We're still not done fencing it yet,
No.
which concerns me because anytime you don't have stuff fenced, there's potential for animal infiltration.
Yeah.
But so far we haven't had a problem, and we just haven't had time. And we always think, oh, we'll have time for that.
No, I think we had too many things to do here.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to mow, like get the weeds under, because there's so many things.
Yeah.
You know, when you're farming, it's about putting out fires sometimes during this time of year, which we do a lot of. And of course we do our videos, which takes up some time too. We'd like to share with you what we have going on though. So anyway, here behind us is our corn.
Yeah.
But we wanted to show you this because we transplanted this corn. We did not plant direct seed it. We transplanted it. We had it in the greenhouse for 3 weeks, and it's incredible. I feel like we may have corn on it by the end of July. Yeah, is what I'm hoping for. And we don't usually have corn up here till probably mid-August.
No.
So we also have 4 additional beds here that we planted of corn from seed, and it's doing well, but not as well. So I think next year we're going to try and do transplant on most of the corn. The problem is space. When you're transplanting corn, it takes up a lot of room
space, yeah.
right at the heat of season, so it's hard to have the room for that.
Oh.
Excuse me. All right, the other thing we have up here are we're doing dry beans, and I think today we weren't originally going to put them here, but I think we're going to put our storage cabbages up here just because we've run out of space in the rest of the garden right now, and we're trying to keep a few beds covered to do carrots in so we don't have to worry about weeds too much. Then also down the hill here, this is our asparagus patch. We have 6 100-foot beds of asparagus planted about 1 foot on center, and then beyond that we just did the raspberries.
Yeah.
And then this entire field right here is surrounded by cherry trees, a wide variety. I think we planted maybe seven or 8 different varieties of cherries this spring. Some sweet, some sour, and then we also, behind the camera, we planted pears and plums, and so that's what we have growing up here.
Yeah, this garden, I think it will be beautiful.
Yeah, we're really trying to do a lot of interplanted things, like trees and shrubs, and then we're leaving a lot of wild area because, you know, the amount of small predators we have on the farm really is incredible. Even this morning I was out in the tomato hoop house and there was a garter snake moving around in there catching stuff. We see toads all the time. We have toads living in the greenhouse, and you know, you want those things.
Yeah.
So really leaving areas wild in between where we are planting our garden beds is very important to us. So we're working on figuring that out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Anything else out here you want to show?
No, but we have beans and.
Oh, we did do some interplanting of the beans with the corn to try to shade out the soil as the corn gets taller. Just because we're already in a very hot summer.
Yeah.
And I would say hotter than normal. So we'll see how that goes. We planted soybeans in one of the beds and then pole beans in the other bed. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
You know, we have such a short season up here that it's not practical to plant beans, I don't think, with the corn that you do from seed, only because there's not enough time to get the corn planted, get the corn sprouted, and then plant beans.
Yeah.
The season's just too short. So with the transplanted ones, though, because they were already started and they were already about this tall, we just, as we planted them, we put the seeds in the ground, and it worked out really well.
Yeah.
So our property here is 20 acres. We have initially when we bought the property, there was about 11 acres of pasture. There was maybe 7 acres of trees and like a forest area, kind of boggy area. And then, you know, the front property sits on about 2 acres. That includes the house and the barn. and you know, all that space up at the front of the property that won't be used for gardens.
Mm-hmm.
So we have turned, I would say maybe a half to an acre is now fenced on the property for our garden beds. So one of the things we want to start doing with our pastured area is to begin turning it into a food forest. You know, you hear about all this regenerative. One of the things we find is that running the animals on pasture, there's zero shade.
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating because we want them, they seek out shade during the day because even up here in the UP where it rarely gets above 80, it is hot for the animals.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that the animals have a place to cool off during the day. And we eventually want to be running some sheep also up here. So what we want to start doing is putting in areas of trees, and we'll probably mostly do fruit trees and shrubs, and then an open area of pasture. And we're going to start doing maybe a half acre at a time doing that. So we'll fence it for a short period of time while the trees are growing, just to keep our chickens out, to keep the deer out. And as the trees get older, we'll pull the fences down, and then we can maneuver our rabbit tractors and our chicken tractors in and out of those different areas. And that will allow for a variety of different forage for the animals. It will provide a variety of like different shade areas. And then what we found this year, this was very interesting. So we planted trees 2 years ago, and then we planted trees last year. And on the older areas, we did not run the animals last year. Like we did not put the chickens in there. But the trees we planted last year, we ran our chickens in those areas. And what we found is those trees budded out and got blooms this year, got blossoms. The older trees did not.
Yeah.
And the only thing we could think of that was different between those two sets of trees was we ran the chickens in that area. And the interesting thing, it happened with the apple trees, it happened with our pear trees, and it happened with our plum trees. Because we had areas for both of those where we ran the chickens and areas where we did not. So I just think it's interesting that those trees seem to have more of what they needed to blossom this year than the trees we had planted the year before. We're still not letting any of these trees fruit because it's very early and they're pretty young. But you know, we do like to see that the animals are possibly impacting the tree production and the tree health.
Yeah.
This next year though, on this area right behind us, we have a nice little flat area. We're going to add another bed, and we are going to, next year we want to focus on plum trees.
Yep.
And we want to maybe do some peach trees. And then one of the things we've been wanting to do are kiwi berries. So we want to plant an area of kiwi berries interplanted with strawberries. We'll let the strawberries run for about 3 years, and then hopefully as the kiwi berry vines mature, we can remove the strawberries and just have it be our kiwi vineyard. So that's the project we're going to work on this area right behind us. So we'll probably do another fence up along here, and then fence it almost all the way to the tree line, just to keep the deer out while we allow the trees to grow and mature.
So here we have like a mixed grass and
And this is where we're growing a mixed grass and weed. So this is our larger garden plot over here. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 separate garden areas here. So we break everything into plots. Most of our plots are 12 beds with a bed on the edge for, you know, grasses and native plants, and where the wildlife and bees can come and, you know, do their thing here on the farm.
Yeah.
So behind us is our onion beds, and then we also have a bunch of peas and a few other things. We're really struggling this year with beets.
Yeah, they just, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, the weather's been weird. It's been very dry. And so we've had beets and radish beds behind us that we've just totally scrapped. They never really produced. And I think the other farms are having the same issues that we've been having. We notice there's not a lot of stuff at market this year. You know, and usually by now all of us farms are in full swing. There's plenty of produce at the farmers market. And this year there are plenty of lettuces and
Yeah.
greens, but not a lot of root vegetables and other products that the small farms are producing up here. So, you know, it's not just us.
No.
And we usually do a round of beets in our hoop house at the beginning of the year, but of course we lost our hoop house in that storm, so we lost a lot of our space. So we tried putting them out in the field and covering them, but that didn't work in our favor. No. So behind us are our onions that we did in soil blocks this year, and they are the best we've ever seen here on the farm. We are going to have a huge onion harvest this year, which we're very excited about because we love doing onions.
Yeah.
So this is the area we keep our caterpillar tunnels.
Yeah.
We currently have 3, but we have a 4th one that we'll be putting up next spring that we got this year as a little bit of a surprise to us. So we're going to run them all here in a row with more spacing than we used to do, because now we found that a late or early snowstorm could take down one of our hoop houses. So we'll put more space in between to allow for the weight of the snow to come off the top of the hoop house.
Yeah, because we will see more snow in the future.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Yeah.
So this first hoop house here is all of our tomatoes. We have 3 rows of tomatoes in here, 100 foot. So these first 2, this end, so this 50 feet is all of our slicers, and we do about 6 different varieties of slicing tomatoes. 3 red, we do a green variety, green zebra, and then we do a yellow and a black variety. The other end is 5 varieties of cherry tomatoes. And so both of those rows, that's what this is. The last row over there are our paste tomatoes. So we grow quite a few paste tomatoes, partly because we do a lot of canning, and also a lot of our members like to can, so we offer bulk. We also encourage our members to freeze tomatoes for the winter, because it is so convenient if you're making a tomato soup or you know, a spaghetti sauce, to pull tomatoes out of the freezer. Yeah, and we do a lot of that. So we grow quite a few tomatoes here. And then this last row is just our cucumbers. And this is our new Gothic style high tunnel that we got this year from Farmer's Friend, and we're loving it. It's got a lot more space. It stays pretty warm in here. And the tomatoes are producing like crazy. Someone was asking us though, this year for the first time we did them 9 inches on center. We spaced them just to see what kind of production we would get. And we were doing them 18 inches in 2 rows last year. And it's just so hard to get in here and maintain and keep them trimmed. So we, instead of doing 2 rows, we did 1 row with 9 inches. And so far, we haven't seen any decrease in production. As a matter of fact, this year our production's a lot better than it's been. Last year was a chillier year, so that was probably part of the reason.
Yeah.
But we are definitely going to be harvesting a lot of tomatoes this year. And then the next hoop house was the first one we had planted out this year, so it's got a lot of mixed crops in it. So we still have a row of carrots in there that we're harvesting from. Our summer squash is in there, which we've started harvesting. And then our initial planting of kale and Swiss chard. And then we have our second planting of cucumbers now in there.
Yep.
And our cucumbers are doing so good again this year. One of the issues we had though when we transplanted for the second one is we had some sort of a fungal disease that took out about half of one of the varieties. The plants would be, within 24 hours, they just fell over dead. And we had a little bit of that at the end of the season last year, and now we had it. So it's going to mean changing up some of our varieties, because one variety was not impacted at all, and the other variety, it took out about 50%, which we can't have that happening. No. And then the last hoop house is our pepper hoop house. So the center is 2 rows of peppers. Each of them has 2 rows in it, spaced 18 inches on center. And they are producing, it has been so hot, they're producing like crazy. I mean, we won't be harvesting for another month or so. And then our eggplant, this is going to be the first year that I think we're actually going to get eggplant.
Yeah, last year we lost the entire.
Yeah, we harvested a few small eggplant last year. The year before we harvested a total of 3 nice size eggplant. And so this year we're hoping to actually get some eggplant for the members that like eggplants. And then on this far row is our tomatillos. We're having some insect issues this year with them. So I went through this morning and pulled off any larvae and some of the insects. I think though they're cucumber beetles, but I'm not sure what they are. I'll have to look them up. But they are definitely impacting it this year, probably because we had tomatillos in here a couple years ago, and so I think they're just enjoying it in here. But yeah, everything's looking really good in here. We mulched this entire hoop house with grass. That's gotta be the nastiest water on the property, Evan. Oh, look at the garter snake.
Oh wow. Don't drink your water, Eben. And I may never be outside. Okay? Take a bit. Take a bit.
Yeah, we get a lot of garter snakes in these hoop houses, which is, we really appreciate. They help keep the insect levels down. We also, the other thing we started figuring out early on is that the birds within the first year learned to get underneath these, even when they're closed. The birds will figure out how to get underneath, and this is the first year. The bugs have been insane this year, and we have had almost no bugs inside of these hoop houses this year.
Yeah.
Because the birds have just learned to come in here, and they help us out a ton. Which, that is one of the things that I love about doing this, is nature finds ways to take care of things, and when there's excess insects, the birds are very adaptive.
Yeah.
And so, they come in here and take care of the bugs for us, which is nice. We're almost fully planted out here on the farm. I'd say there's only about 12 beds that are currently not under production. So these beds right now we're just planting out. We've trialed salad mix this year in our paper pot transplanter. So those are out there. Those were Salanovas. And then we're also doing our lettuces, regular lettuces in paper pot. Those are getting done today. We're also doing our storage cabbages today. We're doing some more broccoli. And so then after today, we'll only have about 6 beds that aren't planted.
Wow, just here and there.
Yeah. Well, those should all be planted today after the end of the day. So it'll just be these up here. We have our bees on the other side of these hoop houses here, and they're doing really well. We have one that survived the winter, and then we brought in 3 additional. Well, the people that run our bees, Betsy and her boyfriend Aaron, they brought in 3 additional nukes this year, and so everybody's doing really good there. We did lose almost every single nectarine and peach.
Yeah.
They came back in the spring, but then almost immediately died. Yeah. So definitely that was a failure on the farm this year, and it was just something we were trying. We really want to be running a farm where it's hands off, where we're only doing some maintenance that we have to do. So if the trees don't survive, they don't survive.
No.
We're just trying some varieties that, say they're better suited to the cold, and seeing if we can get a few things to stick. Yeah. So it'll be a lot of trial and error as we plant out all the trees here on the farm. But we've had the apples. We've not yet lost an apple tree.
Maybe one, I think.
No, I don't think so.
No, yeah.
I don't think so. Apples, we are definitely suited for apples up here. And there are apple trees all over the place. So we're very excited to have an opportunity in the future to offer apples to people. So next year, something definitely that we're doing different though is we are going to put in a larger strawberry area. Strawberries are just so popular. Very few farms are growing any of them, and we want to definitely be offering that to our regular members. The other thing we're probably going to end up doing is pulling away from the farmers markets and start doing membership and delivery.
Yeah.
We upped our membership from about 10 members last year to we're getting up to close to 35 this year. We just keep adding members, and we love doing members. Farmers markets are incredible, but it is a lot of time for us away from the farm. And I think we could really cut that in half or more if we were harvesting what people wanted and delivering it to them rather than going to the market. So that's something that's possibly in the future for us over the next 2 years. We've known that's what we wanted to do, but I think for us, at the rate we're adding members, I just think, you know, within a year or two, we are going to be making a pretty good living at this just on members. Yeah, and that's who we want to cater to. We want to be an exclusive membership farm. So this is 2 of our plots here. These are the garlic right in the front here. You can't really see them because there's a lot of grass. The grass isn't actually growing where the garlic is. It's just growing up around the edges, but it does make it hard to see the garlic. Our garlic this year is incredible. We're gonna have a very good harvest again this year, which is nice. It's just starting to form the scapes. So we sold scapes at market for the first time this week, but we'll have them for probably the next 2 weeks. And then we're even going to do some larger bulk for freezing for people this year too, because we get so many and people really love them. Then we have the beds that we're prepping for carrots and more salad mix here. So we have it covered because we're trying really hard to get where the carrots won't be growing with as many weeds. Because there is nothing worse than picking weeds from carrots. And now that we're doing our lettuces and salad mix in the paper pot transplanter, the weeds won't be as big of a problem there because we're doing that differently. And we're liking that a lot better. We're liking harvesting individual lettuces for salad mix rather than doing the salad mix planting that we were doing before. Up on the hill is just a lot of mixed crops. So carrots, beets, several plantings of cabbages, some broccoli, our second planting of summer squashes up there. So there's just a lot. So these are the only beds right here not planted in these 2 plots. There's two plots of 12 beds right here. Okay, so let's go out to the outer field. All right, so this is our winter squash bed here. We have 3 beds that we kind of consider our outer beds that we plant more of the long full season crops on, like our winter squash, corn, we have Brussels sprouts, our potatoes, things that we're not going to be able to do succession cropping. We plant kind of on our outer beds where we don't have to pay that much attention to them other than doing some weeding. So behind us there are 4 melon beds on the far side there, which we need to get to weeding because last year we had a huge weed problem. And then these 8 beds here are varieties of winter squash. So we have everything from kabocha to delicatas, butternuts, and spaghetti squash. And then we have found some acorn varieties that people really like, and so we're growing those. But we've been harvesting some strawberries. So good. Hopefully we get enough for members, but with how dry it was, we don't irrigate our strawberries, so I'm not sure we're going to get very many. Next year, though, we're going to be irrigating strawberries.
Next year will be better.
All right, Jose, what do we have planted over here?
We have sweet potatoes. We want to try.
We planted 1 row of sweet potatoes. That's here under the black plastic. And then we like to do some black beans for ourselves, so we did 2 rows of black beans for drying. We eat a lot of beans here. Jose grew up in a culture that eats a lot of beans and rice, and so we like to grow the beans if we can. And then we also have all of our potatoes out here. So we have 600-foot rows of potatoes, and then the Brussels sprouts are in the middle here, which is one of our favorite things to grow. We're doing 4 beds of those this year. Last year we did 2, and we can sell way more at market, especially in the early season when we start selling them. So we definitely are happy to be growing those. Out further here is our apple orchard, and we maybe have 20 to 25 trees out there in the apple orchard. We do a huge apple cider press party here on the farm in the fall, which is so much fun. There is nothing like getting a bunch of people together and spending a week, because people, come throughout the week and bring their apples, and we press the cider and can it or freeze it, whatever they want. And so our neighbors right now provide all the apples because we just don't yet have them producing here on the farm, but hopefully at some point we'll be producing all of our own cider apples. And that's another thing we want to start doing, is planting more unique varieties of apples over the next few years. As we plant out the pasture, we'll definitely be intermixing apples out there to be using in apple cider, because there is nothing like having cider with a mixed variety of apples. Yeah. In the early season, it tends to be a tartar cider, and then sweeter as the season goes on. And then over here, we just did all of our grapes. That's up on this little hill here. So hopefully this year we do better with our grapes. Yeah, last year not so good, but anyway, we're working on that. We do want to do a lot of fruit here. We have, you know, raspberries down the hill there, and we have raspberries up here, because raspberries are one of my favorite things. So we're just going to keep working on that. Those are things that just take a while to get established and get them up and going. So the last thing we wanted to show you is our greenhouse, which most of you, if you've watched our channel, have been in here before. Yeah. This year, though, we installed all of these raised beds. We're currently in the process of filling them so we can get them planted. These center beds are going to be our warm season crops, like tomatoes, peppers, and just a few trial things over here. We're doing turmeric and artichokes. The reason we're doing them in here is we're going to try to keep this heated a few extra weeks into the fall to try to keep some of those crops going into the fall. And then this half, which is a lot cooler, and you know, we won't keep it heated, we are going to do some greens. So we're going to do kale in here, we're going to do spinach in here, some lettuces, because we want to be able to harvest well into the fall, maybe as late as December, if we can keep it, you know, just above freezing in here and keep everything covered. January and February, I think up here, it's way too cold and nowhere near enough sun to grow. But we are going to try to go later into the fall in here. So that's the goal with this space this year. And we're very excited to get these beds filled and start using them. You know, they're dual purpose. We put pallets on top of them in the spring for all of our starts. And then, you know, now we're going to be able to, later in the summer, like we're doing now, plant right into them. So we're trialing just some peppers and tomatoes in here. We have our ginger growing up here, which we did a full bed of ginger, which, ooh, it's one of our favorite things. So it's going to be very fun this fall to harvest that. Anyway, we thank you so much for following us today. We hope you enjoyed the tour of the farm. We also hope you will subscribe. If you are interested in doing anything like this, attending farmers markets, you know, doing a market garden or a market farm, you know, subscribe to the channel. We do try to put out 2 videos a week, at least one, more of a vlog style, where we're just sharing with you what we're doing here on a daily basis, because it's a lot of work. And before you get into it, you should know what kind of workload you're getting into. You know, the winter is nice. We take a lot of time off, but during the summer, we don't have that luxury. So, all right, Jose, I think it's time for us to get back to work.
I think it's time to lunch.
So, Jose's hungry already.
No, it's just late.
All right. Well, thank you for watching.
Thank you. See you next time.